Again, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this session. Today is Tuesday, May 27th. So just to make sure we know when we are. This is for our first session of this summer 2025, for our Astronomy 120. And the purpose of this meeting serves to more like an orientation and understanding of what needs to be done. There will be another meeting next week where we're going to be dedicating it more specifically to a few assignments. One of them is actually the midterms, which have a big weight in terms of your grade, overall grade. So we need to just have a discussion on that. And the other one is the project. We only have one choice for the summer classes, honestly, because the other project that usually offer takes a lot longer time, and we wouldn't be have we will not be able to do it during this short session. Anyway, so I'm hoping that you guys, all of you, received also the invitation that I sent last week. It was sent. I'm looking at my email here on the phone on May 19th, and it included the syllabus of the course and basically some information about the class in general and things like that and what needs to be done or so on and so forth. Okay. So anyway, this is an online class, which means that everything that you're going to be doing is online. One of you guys already sent me an email concerning today's meeting, if it is required to attend it. No, it's not required to attend live sessions when I have them, but I'd love to have as many as possible who can make it so that if there is question, it's a good idea to ask it then and there so that everybody else benefits from it. Sometimes I try to cover everything, but there is no way you can cover everything. So it's your questions that enrich it. So attending the sessions is actually very useful to everybody, including yourself, because you're getting it firsthand. And if there is an ambiguity about anything, you ask it then and there, so it becomes clear. So that's one thing. Now, if you cannot make it, you have to really watch it then, because I'm going, as I'm doing it right now, I'm recording it and post it later on for you guys to see. So the first time you have a chance, you have to go and watch the recording and go through it, because it's part of the assignment. As a matter of fact, to watch all of the recordings and see what's going on and understand the what's happening. Another thing about this recordings that you see actually on Canvas, which includes the different chapters or the different units, we're going to talk about that for this class, is they're kind of dated a little bit. I think some of them are 2 years old, but the information is the same. It did not change. So all the content is the same. And all of the things that you have in your Canvas is actually off of my YouTube channel, where I have all of the content posted there and I build on it. But there is a word of caution when you go there. And it's a good idea you go there anyway, but there is a caution. And the caution is the following: when you're browsing through the channel, because there are hundreds of videos nowadays. So when you're browsing the channel, make sure that you look for the title that has the Astronomy 120 in it. Okay. Once you see that, that's content that is relevant to your class. Otherwise, you will see a lot of also physics content. Some of it is introductory physics, some of it is actually calc-based physics. So it's probably not something of your interest. So while you're browsing the channel, make sure you're focusing on the content that is relevant to your class, because there will be times where it's a good idea to go and watch those recordings. I mean, the recordings for the lecture is a must, so there's no choice about that. That's part of the explanation for the class. But it's the for example, for the homework assignments or discussion about how to do assignments or how to present the report or how to do stuff like that, all of these things exist actually in the YouTube channel, and actually it's actually on Canvas too. So you don't really have to go outside of Canvas, to be honest with you. You don't even have to go to YouTube, because everything is self-contained in the on Canvas on the different models, which I'm going to explain on how that is structured. And you go there and you should find all the resources you want for the class. Now, before we even get any further than anywhere but we're going, you don't find something in there, please do ask. Don't delay it and say, okay, I don't find it today, maybe I'll find it tomorrow. And then you go tomorrow and you don't find it, then it starts to pile up. No, if you don't find it, let me know and I will point it to you what it is. And if it's not there, and the question is a new question, which would be a great thing to have, honestly, then we will record a new one and we add it and say, okay, just a question related to this assignment or that different topic or something like that. Here is the what needs to be done. Okay, so hopefully that's clear from the get-go in terms of the recordings and what happens and so on and so forth. So let me share with you the screen so that we have an access to at least the course. If I can load it first before I make sure it's loaded. Come on. That's not the one. I'll go back to the course. And let me look at it in terms of as a student. Okay. Let me go back to Zoom. Share. They changed it so much that it's okay. Where is the share button? Oh, here it is. It's the green one. So here is what I want to share. So hopefully you guys are looking at the same thing I'm looking, which is Astronomy 120, Section 10, which is our section in here. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Just to make sure that we are on the same page, we're not looking at different things. So when you land on the course, you have this welcome page basically for the class, and there are some important connections to it. One of them is the syllabus, which should be the same thing that you received in an email. And if you want to, you can download the same one that you should have again received in the email. So it's a syllabus is typical stuff in it. It has all the information of the course, textbook, the things related to this class. When we meet, again, like I said, we're going to have few meetings. You're going to be receiving an ample basic notification ahead of time that there will be a meeting, and then the link will be sent to you like what happened today. The link usually is sent on the same day, because sometimes if I send it, and that I learned it from my experience basically in the past, you send it well ahead of time, and then in your inbox there will be a lot of emails. By the time the meeting of the day is, you look for it, you can find it, and you panic and you start sending me messages, where is the link for the meeting? I couldn't find it. Then what I do instead is I send the link on the same day when the meeting is happening, so that it would not have gone too deep in your email or your inbox, so that you see it then and there. Okay, so that's the thing with the meeting. So again, this is the stuff that we have on the landing page. The main link, honestly, is this one. So what I'm doing right now, if you guys notice, I'm looking at it from the vantage point of a student. So this is not from my as an instructor. So this is how I'm looking at it, of how you look at it. So the main thing is this link. This is the most important link that you have to go through, okay, on a regular basis. I'm sorry, somebody saying something? Okay, so it's the main thing is this link. So once you click on it, it takes you to the course content, okay? Try to be systematic. Try not to skip anything. You go through from the top all the way to the bottom, okay? And you go and you see right now I am a student. So in here it says complete all assignments. So honestly, I have to go through this assignment first. I'm looking at it again as a student. The objectives for this week, again, the week is divided into different sections because this is a summer class and we only have about 4 weeks of instruction. So every week we're putting stuff together in there, okay, so that we have the same content as if it's a full semester. So I'm looking just at the structure at this point so that you know, and I will talk about how we're going to take all of this. So again, there is an assignment that is due June 4th. I can see it in here. And as I'm going through this, I'm going to go through the assignments, and there is another one which is due June 14th. And there are two links in here for the PowerPoint, okay? Did I put that? Did I do that hand? Maybe I did, okay. By the way, if you have a question, just interject, okay? You don't have to wait for me to, you don't have to send a message or anything, or you can send a message actually. but you can always intervene. You don't have to raise hands or do something, okay? Anyway, so basically this is where the 2 units for this week are, or this part of the week are. So we have units lecture 5, which is just more like a PowerPoint. This is not the entire book, okay? So just the PowerPoint for units 5 and 6. And you notice that we did not start from unit 1. We're going to be jumping around in terms of the units where we're going through the book. And this is the recordings related to this week. These are the stuff that is related, for like I was saying in the beginning, this is from 2022. We are in 2025. So this is way back. This is, granted, this is in the fall. So it's 2.5 years since it was recorded. And I'm planning on this fall to re-record all of my classes, as a matter of fact. And I will be teaching an Astronomy 120 again on campus, in addition to 2 online. And the purpose of which for the in-person person section is actually to re-record this video. So the information is the same, so it's not changing. It's just the better probably quality recordings and maybe newer ones, and streamline the whole process a little bit better. But anyway, so this is related to the content. Think of this one as like a lesson 1 and lesson 2 from that week, okay? Today's recording that we're talking about is going to go here. So right now, if I play, there is nothing. It's telling me an error. There is no link because there is no video. We didn't finish this video yet to upload it to YouTube and then put the link in there. That's why it's giving us this error. Otherwise, these are the links that I was talking about from YouTube that you have all of the information for them. So let me try to go back in here. Let me move this out of the way. I can find where the back button. So see here, actually. Hopefully it's going to take, I should have clicked the home. Anyway, so this is the part 1. This is week module 1, part 2. So we're still talking about this week, okay? And you notice that the other one is grayed out. You can't access to it. You can't click on it. You can't do anything to it because it's going to be released on June 1st, which is this weekend, okay? And the same thing for the next part, which is part 2, okay? And this includes an assignment, which is, I'm going to be talking about it hopefully next week, which is the midterm. And you're going to be receiving messages from me, okay? So this is not the actual midterm, by the way. This is the review for the midterm. And the policy for the review is that you get either full credit or no credit whatsoever. So it's out of the 83 points, either you get 83 points or 0. You get 83 points if you just start it. It doesn't matter, okay? Even if you don't get everything correct, you get 83 points. If you don't do it at all, you get 0, of course. There is no way out of that. And then the actual midterm, the first midterm, is actually on June 9th, okay? Not next week, the week after, okay? It's going to be due by Monday, the week after. So it's going to be available by the weekend next week. And it's going to extend from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So if you're working weekends, you can do it during Monday or on the Friday or the Monday. Or if you're off on weekends, then you have the Saturday and Sunday also to work on it. So this is an important assignment. And then as you go along, of course, there are other assignments that are going to be released. So this is from week 2, of course, part 3. This is week 2, part 4. So week 2, which is next week, has 4 parts in it. And then week 3, you will have more models that open up. So part 1 from 3, part 2 from 3, and part 3 from 3, and part 4 from 3. 5 again, okay? So we start to have a lot of content going on in here. And then week 4, you have parts 1, 2, 3, and then 5, which is the last week, basically, you have 2 units, 2 models, part 1 and 2. And the final is going to be due around June 19th, okay? I may adjust the date on this one to allow for more people to do it, okay? So the dates are actually not, at least for the next weeks, they may be adjusted, and usually when they adjust it for to give you more time, okay? So this is the stuff that, in terms of how the course is structured. We will finish it by when it's due, when this class is due, and you will have your grades by then, okay? In terms of assignments, There are some assignments which are discussion assignments from week 1, part 1. There is a discussion here with 5 points. And there is also this one worth 15 points. Then on the same week, actually, you have another discussion item worth 5 points. Okay. And you have a quiz, actually, which is worth 12 points. This is a timed quiz, by the way. And then next week, you will have again that you will notice that the discussions they are going to be happening on a regular basis, but this one is ungraded, so this one you're not going to receive a mark for it. And then you have the lunar project. That's the one that I'm going to talk about on how to take care of it, to make sure that's because that has a lot of weight in terms of your grade. You have also a homework assignment. In terms of a homework assignment, those are the things I was talking about that you will find the resources on Canvas for. I mean, in somewhere in the recordings, because every week you will have recordings in here, okay? And in here it has help with the Moon project, so it's related to this project. But again, we're going to be talking about these things. So this is the structure in general. I hope that I didn't give you a lot of things at once, but at least you have a big picture of how the course is. So that's going to be a recurring pattern for all of these things and the different types of assignments. Obviously, how do I succeed in this class? How am I make sure that I meet all of these things and do everything and get my A and be done with it and hopefully enjoy it in the process and learn stuff from it? Okay. The textbook is your guide. The textbook that we have is not divided into chapters. Chapters usually they have sections in them, and each chapter has like 4, 5, 6 sections sometimes. Okay, and then you move to the next chapter and so on and so forth. Each section is typically about 4, 5, sometimes even 6 pages. Okay, and so on and so forth. So a chapter can be a lengthy thing. But where this book is divided into units, think of the units as those sections. So each unit is an independent entity by itself, but sometimes they are connected. But you can do this unit, move to the next unit, and so on and so forth. So that's how this textbook is. The length of each unit is a lot less than a typical chapter, but around the same size of a section, sometimes slightly more than a section. Okay, so that's how they are structured. Because this is a condensed course, typically this one would happen in 1 week in a normal paced course, but this is an accelerated course. So we have this content which has 2 units already in it. And in the same week, we have 3 units. So we have a total of 5 units this week, okay? Each unit is about the size of a section, sometimes slightly more, but it's about the size of a section of a book. So these 5 units this week will constitute about a chapter, maybe chapter and a half in a regular different textbook that you have in a class. So that's the amount of reading that we have to do. And there is no way out of this. We have to do the reading, okay? So I asked in the message that I sent last week that you dedicate 6 hours a week for this class, okay? The mere fact that it's online class needs time to be spent on a regular basis, and you really have to be methodic with this one. Don't shortchange things. Don't say, okay, this week it's the start of the semester. I'm going to spend only maybe 10 minutes, half an hour, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, and I will be fine. No, that's not how it works. Okay. Do plan for 6 hours a week, even though probably the first week you realize that after 3 hours you think that you're done with this. Okay. You have to continue with your plan. Think about it this way. In a regular class, a regular semester, I'm not talking about this one, okay, a regular semester, you have 2 lectures. Each lecture is about an hour and a half. I mean, it's still rated at an hour and a half, but I know it lasts only about an hour and 15 minutes. So you have 2 hours and 25 minutes of lecture per week, okay? And this week, you actually have condensed, because it's an accelerated week, this one and this one. Those are 5 hours. Okay, 2.5 and 2.5, that's 5 hours already. Okay. Plus, you have the assignments also going with it. So it's not like when you take a class in person, you go on campus, you spend about 2.5 hours just sitting in the classroom. I'm not counting the time you go from your car to the class, or from the class to your car, or you go somewhere else, or hang around with people, or drive to campus or away from. No, that I'm just talking about the time the class starts and the class ends is an hour and 15 minutes twice, so that's 2.5 hours, okay, of learning, of going through a material, going through these PowerPoints, discussing them, doing scribbling on the screen and there, trying to make sure we go through examples, try to outline, discuss the example and practice that point and move on to the next one, okay? That's what you are supposed to be doing at home too. That's what you're supposed to go through. When you go through the book, and you read the section and you reach a point that says, okay, let's practice this, do the practice as if you're sitting at home, sitting in the classroom. So you're going through the unit, you're reading through the unit from the introduction to the first chapter, to the first paragraph, the second paragraph, and then a definition. You write down the definition as if you're sitting in a classroom, you write it down on your notes. Another definition, a discussion, an example. You read through the example, try to understand it, write the example that is written on your notes, try to make sure you go through it. You watch the videos that I have in there, which are a short explanation of what's going on, and you move to the next unit, and now you're done, okay? Try to pace yourself. Try to put the time, okay, for it. And I said in the message I sent, 6 hours is honestly a minimum. Okay, think about it. 6 hours is not going to be enough. So if I really want to ace this class and learn it the way that it ought to be, I really need to time that at time and a half. So it should be 9 hours. Okay. But I'm shooting for the minimum for hoping that you actually go a little bit more than that. Okay. So the 6 hours is actually a minimum. It's not like, okay, I did the 6 hours and I still, no, you may need to do more than that. Okay. And probably you're going to be doing more than that anyway. But here is the trick with that. On Monday, for example, I'm going to schedule. I don't know about your work schedule or your other classes schedule or what's going on, but and this is going to be an individual thing. From 8 o'clock in the morning to 9:30 in the morning, that's dedicated for my astronomy class. Or from 11 in the morning to 12:30, that is dedicated to my astronomy class. Or from 5 to 6:30, that is dedicated to my astronomy class. Okay. Log in, go through the model step by step, get the book or access it online, whichever you have to, go through the unit, watch the video, take notes, and move on. Once we're done with that, either we are done before the time expired, or the time ran out and I did not finish. Then in this case, I stop and go and take care of something else. The next day, the same thing. Okay, an hour and a half, an hour and a half. Okay, or the, I'm shooting for the bare minimum at this point. Okay, or I dedicate more than that, an hour and a half break and another half an hour or 1 hour, depending. Okay, now I have covered my units, my week. Okay, you tell me, okay, I did dedicate an hour and a half, but honestly, in about 10 minutes, I thought I'm done with this whole thing. There is something wrong at that point. Okay. This same content was taught actually in person, and it took a whole semester to finish. Okay. Either you're going too fast, or you're probably skipping things, or maybe there is something that is not functioning right in there. Okay. So I cannot emphasize this high enough because of the fact that it's very, very critical. Because I have seen time again, and it happened last semester. Hopefully, it will not happen this semester, but if it does, I will not be surprised, honestly. There will be a good number of people toward the end of the semester where they would try toward the end of the semester in the 2 days or the last week of the instruction, try to put everything together. So you know what? I was left on my own, basically, decisions and on my own pace. And for one reason or the other, I found all kinds of excuses and all kinds of incidents happen. And the boss needed something, the family had to had something, And all of this life happening in front of me and behind me, it prevented me from basically completing all of this work that needs to be done. Now I'm in the panic mode. I want to put everything together trying to learn all of that content. I will tell you upfront that this is not going to work. Okay? This is not going to work. So if you reach out to me and then ask me, okay, is there some alternative assignment I can do? My internet was down for 3 days or 4 days and things like that. Well, I'm sorry. I mean, you had the option to go somewhere in a public library or somewhere where there is internet access, or come to campus where there is resources available all over campus, including the STEM center, including different places where you can reach out and get all the help that you need. And by then you have shown that you're proactive and you want to really take this class. So this happens specifically for the online classes, not for the in-person classes, where people delay and postpone, and there will be things in your life that's going to happen to maybe suggest to you that, okay, let's skip today. Okay, oh, today is Wednesday. It's a time where I'm going to skip today's session. I have other things to do, and I have to go and take care of some very, very urgent thing. Okay, and that may be the case where there is an overwhelming thing that is going to prevent you to skip one day. Just like when you, for example, you are in person and for one reason or the other, you cannot make it to class on a given day. Okay, that happened. I understand that. But the next day, we really have to make up for it. Okay. If it happened on a Monday, then it happened on a Tuesday, then it happened on a Wednesday, then it happened a whole Thursday. We skipped a week of instruction. For this type of class, that's a lot of time. Think about it. A regular class, a regular paced class, takes a whole semester to complete, okay? 18 weeks. This one is 4 weeks. This one, every day is almost a week of instruction in there. So you miss a day as if you missed the whole week of instruction. You missed, so 4 days in here, which are a whole week. It's about 4 weeks of instruction. It's a month. Imagine if you're taking a class in person, okay? And you skip a month of instruction. 1 month, one whole month. Imagine what's happening in that month in terms of problems, examples, discussions. By the time you come back and you reach out, you probably you will not even recognize the classroom. It's like a different universe, different place. You have no idea what everybody's talking about. It's completely different. You miss so much. So again, please don't. I know life happens and it happens a lot. And unfortunately, this is something that we have to deal with. But for this one, since you embarked on this journey, make sure you dedicate the time for it, okay? And you tell yourself, okay, I have to stick to this schedule. If you don't, I'm sorry. I mean, you probably have, this is not going to work, okay? Sounds good? At least for the few who are here.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyway, so I wanted to make sure that this is clear for all of us in here in terms of the workload, in terms of the understanding, in terms of the assignments, in terms of how the expectations from this class. Again, this class has different assignments in here. Let me go into the assignments page. I'm just looking at it overall, okay? So you have the upcoming assignments in here. They are different. They're grouped differently, honestly, okay? The midterms, you have midterm 3. Okay, there is a midterm 2 somewhere. There is a midterm 2, and there is a midterm 1. So you have 3 midterms. The lowest grade of them is going to be automatically dropped, okay? If you find yourself missing 2 midterms, it's going to be very hard to pass the class because it weighs so much. If you look at the syllabus, 60% of your grade. So it's a big chunk of your grade. So you don't want to do that, okay? So it's a good idea to take all of this midterms, okay? And then there are homework assignments and quizzes and discussions. They're all clumped together. okay? So there is a leeway room in there. First of all, their weight overall is less, but there is actually a leeway in terms of trying to be skip one or two, probably because you didn't have time to do it or something. But don't take into the habit of missing a lot of them, okay? That's one thing. And that's actually the homework assignments is one of the typical questions that people struggle with. But again, you really don't have to because you'll have all kinds of resources available for you, okay? And then there is a project, which is the lunar photography project. And again, I'm going to dedicate hopefully early next week. I'm going to send you a message again where we're going to meet and talk specifically about the lunar project and the midterms of how to go about preparing them because of their importance. In a normal class, as I was saying in the beginning, I have two different projects. One of them is the lunar photography, and another one is the lunar observation. The lunar observation takes a 4 week of observation and 2 more weeks for reporting. So for a total of 6 weeks, which we don't have that luxury in this class because it's a short, fast-paced course, so we can't do that project. So the only option we have is the lunar photography. There is another project that I used to assign, but some people had issue with it. And again, it was a choice, okay? You could do either. Even if I am in a regular class, I give choice for the people taking the class to submit only one project. They don't have to do all three of them. And so in a sense, you're not missing much, honestly, because you're only submitting one project toward the end of the day, even if you're exposed to three projects, okay? Three different projects, okay? You have option one, option two, option three. But for this class, because of the pace that we have, we really don't have a lot of options, okay? So we're kind of restricted. So at the end, even if you have the three projects to choose from, you're going to be submitting only one. So it's not like all of them. So the other project, as I was saying, has to do with the Stellarium, which is a software that we use on campus. I teach, by the way, not this session. I teach the lab usually. I know it's uh, Mr. Johnson is the one who's teaching the lab. So if you're sitting in the lab, you're going to be meeting with him in person on campus to do the lab. And you can ask him for resources also. He's a very good resource and a very good help if you guys have any questions. So you're going to be doing the lab, and the lab has a lot of things with it. And again, you don't have to take the lab for this class. So some of you probably are wondering, did I have to take the lab and now I probably am I'm missing on something? No, you don't have to take the lab. And if you take the lab in the future, that's fine. So you can finish this class and take the lab later on, okay? So that's important thing to know. Again, some people they opt to take this class and take the lab later on. And Alyssa, I have a question.
Yes. Why is homework 3 and 2 due June 7th and homework 1 is due June 15th?
Again, send me a message. Probably I did not check the order of them, but probably there is a rationale for it. Oh yeah, the homework assignments, they are going to be pushed further, okay? So don't worry about it. They are all going to be on, what was the list day for homework assignments? You said homework 1 is the one that is, yeah, they're all going to be moved all the way to June 15th. So don't go by this homework assignments, okay? The due dates for them, okay? So that's my original plan. That's why when you were looking at the models, I'm still filtering through them, so a lot of them are still probably not in the order that I have initially planned for. Okay, that's a very good question. Thank you very much for asking it. Because at this point, I'm just structuring them from the top, okay, and coming down, okay.
Okay,
So the plan is to have them all on this day. Anyway, so that's a good question and a good reminder for myself to take care of this.
okay, and I have another question about the textbook. When I click on the link in module 0, it
Uh-huh.
just error message, and I also went to my materials, which is also known as the font discovered.
Yeah.
Use it, it won't work.
Okay. The idea here is that actually this used to be part of Brightwave, and I'm not honestly sure if the college renewed their license with Brightwave or not. And if it did not, I mean, I probably should have sent a message concerning this one, is to check with the bookstore and they have it actually at a discounted price in there, either the online or the in-person version. So that's probably what the error in there. So they either want you to pay the full price, which I don't recommend you should do that at all, is to check with the bookstore for the book, and they have it at a discount price. This is in the time of 2002 or something like that, when we had the corona, and the textbook used to be free. So right now it's probably throwing an error because you need a code of some sort from the bookstore. So that's a good question again. Okay, so I'll probably follow up with a message to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Anyway, so this is some of the things related to this class. Again, the biggest thing is to be proactive as much as you can and try to follow the notes that I have in there. Try to make sure you read this thing. So there is a lot of work on your behalf. So I understand that. And I don't mean to discourage you. I don't mean to, I don't want you actually, honestly, also to have the misconception that this class is some sort of an easy A for doing nothing. This is not the one. So if you thought about it that way, I'm sorry to tell you that this is not how it's going to work, okay? Another question that I have had in the past about how much math do I need for this class? Absolutely none, okay? At times you will see that it probably has math intensive, and it is, okay? But do I really need to know these things up front before coming to the class? No, you don't. As long as you can grab a calculator and punch the numbers, okay, on the calculator and follow the steps, you should be fine. The purpose of these homework assignments, and it's only in homework assignments, is in science in general, and that's part of the objective for this class, is that I mean, I can tell you, for example, how fast I was moving. I tell you, I was moving super fast, for example, yesterday on the freeway, and you will have no idea until I tell you that Joe, for example, actually was going faster. But Mary was actually not going as fast as Joe, but she was actually faster than me. You guys see that there is a problem when describing things without numbers. So usually numbers give a meaning to things and a better understanding. So if I tell you, for example, the speed limit was 65 and I was doing 68, you know that I was going super fast, okay? But Joe, for example, was 75. So you know that Joe was actually worse than me, okay? Or Mary, for example, I don't know the name that I gave earlier, was 69 or 70, okay? So you know there is a sense. So the numbers give you things in proportions, okay? And they tell you something that nothing else do. If I tell you Joe was actually was doing 175 miles per hour, you know that he was suicidal, okay? So the number will tell you a story without even having to tell you that story. You can already deduce it yourself, okay? So if I tell you that, for example, Joe is going 1,000 miles per hour, you immediately tell me stop right there and there, okay? What in the world is Joe driving on? I mean, he must be flying and even supersonic fly, because I mean the plane is the fastest thing I have seen. Those they're probably 500 miles per hour. So you're telling me that this one is faster than the fastest plane? So he must be on a Concorde of some sort, the ones that used to fly. So there is something in there, okay? The numbers tell you a story, and I want you guys to get sense of your class, of your astronomy class, by exploring those numbers yourself. So that's really the objective. So it's not to challenge you to the math of whether or not you can do, for example, I don't know, the cosine of an angle or a tangent of an angle to find the distance, or I don't know, to use the power of something, or square root of something, or cubic root of something. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to use, for example, Kepler's law to find a distance of a planet from the sun, whether it's Venus, whether it's Pluto, whether it's, for example, the moon Io around Jupiter. So I want you to have a sense of that, or to use the information about Io to find the mass of Jupiter. So that's what we do in science, okay? So now the number can tell you a different story. You come to me and tell me, you know what is this to the power 3 and the cubic root? Well, it's just the things that you're going to punch them following this law. And then you follow the videos and hopefully you understand that. So the purpose of the homework assignment is to give you that dimension, and that is a necessary dimension in physics and astrophysics in general, okay? So that's the purpose of this class, okay? So that's purpose of the assignment. So you're wondering, didn't really have a lot of math. My major is not actually in science. I'm just taking this class to fulfill my requirements. Do I really need to know all of that math before taking the class? Absolutely not, okay? Do I need to do all of that math? I hope so, okay? Because it's going to teach you something, okay? Can I do that math? You will be able to do that math, okay? And if you have difficulty with it, let me know. I will make sure that you will be able to do that math. As a matter of fact, you will be feeling better about this thing at the end of the day if you do it, okay? So that's really the part of this things into this class in here, okay? Any questions to
Okay.
me? No? Okay. I know other people who are going to be watching. Hopefully, they will send messages and they will, which brings me to an important point in here. I know it's in the syllabus and I know I mentioned it in the introduction before. How do you reach me? The best way, honestly, is to go to the inbox. I can't click on it right now because I'm in a student mode and this student is actually a dummy student. What I mean by dummy is not it's like a test student. So this student is not a real student. So he doesn't have an email or anything like that. So if I click on inbox, it's going to give me a nonsense message. But if I click on the inbox, is that where you go and you send me the message, okay? It says in here, access denied. You cannot access this function in student view, okay? So for you, you will be able to access it because you have an email address, okay? And you actually are a registered student with the college. So you'll be able to send me a message and then I will be able to reply to you to it, okay? So this is the preferred way of reaching me. Send me a message through there. It immediately notify me that so-and-so from this class is sending you a message. And it also actually comes as an email notification, so I get it both ways. So I know exactly that you sent a message. And I'll try to respond to it, okay? As much as I can as soon as possible. A word of thing, and I know it's in the syllabus, and I'm just repeating things that are in the syllabus. Let me stop sharing because we don't need this one in here is about the SAS. So if you are one of those people who need resources, please let me know as soon as possible because why is this thing in here? Can I? Okay, it's gone. Uh, please reach out to me as soon as possible so that your tests are accommodated. Okay. So if you need special arrangement, you need to let me know about that as soon as possible, so that you're fairly assessed, so that we don't have an issue with that. Okay. I said a word in beginning, and I really need to come back to it because it's very, very important in here, okay? And that word has to do with what are we learning in this class, okay? What are we learning in this class? I said the word physics and I said the word astrophysics. And I didn't say the word astronomy, honestly, because I know the title of the class is astronomy, but astronomy is not the same way as it used to be before, okay? Astronomy, the way that it is traditionally perceived, is through to go outside in the backyard, take a telescope, and start looking at the objects in the sky. Any telescope you have on planet Earth, honestly, okay, no matter how big it is, the best it can resolve visually are the planets, okay? And not every planet, as a matter of fact. The best we can look at is the moon, the Earth's satellite, or maybe Jupiter. Okay, if you look at Jupiter, you're going to see the different bands on its upper atmosphere in there. You can even see some of its features, some of the hot spots on its surface. With a telescope, you cannot see it with the naked eye. You can see even the great giant red spot on it. Okay, so you can see stuff on the surface of Jupiter. You can see its moons, Io, Ganymede, Callisto, and also Europa. Okay, you can see its moons, but you can't see any details on those moons. You can see just small dots going around Jupiter. You can actually also look at Saturn and see its rings, and maybe if you have a powerful enough telescope, you can see part of its bands also. And that's the extent with a telescope. On if you point that telescope toward Venus, you're not going to see anything. And this is the most powerful, the most expensive telescope on Earth. So with telescopes, it's very, very limited into what you can see. You cannot see the stars. You cannot see even Neptune or even Saturn. I mean, not Saturn, Uranus. Neptune and Uranus, you cannot see them. Pluto, forget about it. Okay. So there are a lot of limitations in what you can do with astronomy. So this class is named astronomy, but it's more like an astrophysics class. As a matter of fact, there is nobody who teaches astronomy anymore. We teach astrophysics, so that you know, okay? So there are stuff that you need to know, and at some point in the units, you're going to learn about light, for example, the properties of light, how we analyze light, the different wavelength, the different way of analyzing spectroscopy, because that's what we use to determine the size of everything, to determine how far the stars are, how big the things are. We use spectroscopy, we analyze them. So nobody went to the sun, for example, to analyze its structure and say, hey, the sun has hydrogen in it, the sun has helium in it, the sun has iron. But we analyzed its spectrum and we saw that, and we saw signatures of these elements on the surface of the sun. So that's how we do that. Nobody went there actually to take the temperature of the sun. And somebody can tell you, hey, the temperature of the sun, 5,850 Kelvin. How did you know that? Somebody had to actually analyze the spectrum of the sun again and look at its properties and determine its temperature. And that's how it's true also for all of the other stars. So if I tell you we didn't do that for the sun, do you think we have done that for any star out there? No. Okay, nobody can, nothing. Okay, so we have to use a lot of physics in our class to understand that. Even what was determined by astronomy by Mr. Kepler was later on explained by Mr. Newton, and that's part of the class that we're going to be learning. So what we're going to be learning are three things. Okay, first of all, the tools used by astronomers to learn about the universe. That's one thing. We're going to learn about the solar system, and we're going to sample some planets off of it. We're going to divide it into different sections. The inner planets, we're going to take Venus as an example. We're not taking Mars, we're taking Venus as an, of course, we're going to take Earth. And then Venus, because Venus and Earth are very, very similar. And Venus can teach us a thing or two about our own planet, the fate of our own planet. So we really need to learn that. We're going to also learn about the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, and Jupiter. And see that we're going to lump them together and learn about them, okay, and their different properties and their big elements in this solar system. We're going to learn about the moons in the solar system, and the moons that we're going to learn on are going to be the big moons. And there are a lot of moons, hundreds of moons in the solar system, okay? Most of them are actually near the outer planets, especially Jupiter and Saturn. But we're going to learn about as much moons as possible. Of course, we're going to focus on the big ones, and the biggest one is, of course, Ganymede. Is Ganymede? Yes, Ganymede. The second one is Titan, the moon of Saturn. The third one is actually Callisto, one of the moons of Jupiter. And the fourth one is actually Io, the moon of Jupiter also. And the fifth moon is actually in size as Earth's moon. And then after that comes the other, Europa, which is actually a big moon also in Jupiter, and so on and so forth. So we're going to learn about those moons. We're going to learn about an important moon, which is the moon of Neptune. And that's an important part of our journey also. Okay. And then we're going to learn also about the dwarf planets. So we really don't have only 8 planets in the solar system. We have far more planets, because the dwarf planets by themselves, there's a lot of them. Pluto, of course, Eris, Makemake, Haumea, Sedna, all kinds of outer planet, dwarf planets out there, and they are complete systems by themselves. They have their own moons. As a matter of fact, they all some of them have far more moons than the Earth or the inner planets combined. So it's really it's a huge structure in that. That's what we're. Then that's part of the structure of the solar system that we're going to be learning about. We're going to learn about comets and asteroids and the distinction between them and their impacts and how their journey through the Earth. We're going to learn also about the different rocky, the asteroids, basically, whether in the asteroid belt or the Kuiper belt or even the Oort cloud. And that gives us a view of the solar system. We're going to learn about the stars. We're going to start with our own sun first to serve us as an example, because it's a nearby star and we can actually study it. And then we're going to study all of the different stars and see that they're classified into different classes of stars. And if you take the lab, you will see that at least you're going to focus on class 5 stars. And class 5 stars is like the sun. Those are the main sequence stars. But they're not the only stars out there. There are supergiant stars, there are giant stars, there are subgiant stars, there are dwarf stars, there are different kinds of stars that are out there, okay? And in addition to that, there are different types of stars that are actually toward the end of the big giant stars, and those are the neutron stars, and actually even the black holes, which is one of the endings of the stars in general, okay? And then stars themselves, they're classified in different divisions, and they're the O, B, A, F, G, K, L, M stars, okay? And that's classification depending on their surface temperature, depending on their size, depending on how far they are in their basically evolution in their life cycles. That's another thing. We're going to learn about the life cycle of the star. Depending on its size, it's going to end up in different processes. So these are some of the things that we're going to be learning about them. We're going to learn also about how the stars, they come together in clusters of stars and clusters of stars, and namely galaxies, and how galaxies behave toward each other. Galaxies devour each other. So now we're looking at a scale much, much larger than, than a solar system or stars. We're looking at a huge billions of stars basically put together in a big galaxy working together, okay? And this galaxy and that galaxy, one of them is a spiral, the other one is elliptical, the other one is irregular, and they have all kinds of things going on with them. And now they are working together. And in this process later on, after we finish this whole thing, we're going to be looking at the entire cosmos, the entire universe, and the fate of the universe and how that is determined. So there are a lot of things we're going to be learning in this one. Toward the end, so those are the three things I mentioned. We're going to be learning the tools astronomers use, the solar system, and the stars, okay? Toward the end, we're going to spend a very small amount of time talking about the life outside of the Earth, okay? So that's an important topic. Nowadays, we know that there are planets. At least we suspected that the planets exist. And now we know for a fact that there are thousands and thousands of planets out there. At least we discovered several thousand, and the numbers could be in the billions, or probably they outnumber the stars 10 to 1. So if there are 200 billion stars in our own galaxies, there are 2 trillion planets out there. So which brings us to the potential of life outside of the Earth. And we'll explore that idea and see what's going on. And there is actually serious research for it right now using the James Webb Telescope, and actually 2 missions, one of them to the planets of Jupiter, okay, and another one for the moon of planets, the moons of Jupiter, and another one for the moon of Saturn, so Titan, that is. So again, we have a lot to learn. Hopefully, you guys will enjoy the class and the process. And if you have any questions, you send them over. Any questions for me? Well, if you don't have a question now, I expect the questions to be arriving short. Hopefully, you guys will send them over. And if you don't have any questions, that's really the introduction I wanted to have. We will have another meeting hopefully soon to discuss this different assignments and how to tackle them to make sure at the end of the day what matters. I want to get an A in this class and hopefully learn a thing or two from it. Yes? Sounds good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Sounds good.
Okay. Alyssa, if you don't see that change for the homework assignment due dates, please let me know, okay? It's your job to send me a reminder, okay? Hopefully by, I'll try to get it by the end of the day today, okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Let me stop the recording first.
It was nice meeting you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very
Have a
much,
good day.
Eileen. Okay, bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you.